Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the online certificate course on the social status and legal rights of women. The ground rules for the session are: please rename yourself into your full name for attendance purpose. Please keep your audio and video muted throughout the session. Post all your questions in the chat box. The questions will be answered at the end of the session. It is mandatory to fill the evaluation quiz form that will be circulated in the chat box after each of the sessions. That's when the certificate will be issued. Now, I request Dr. C. Francis, the head of the department, to deliver the welcome address.
Okay, yeah. Good morning to one and all present for this serial of webinars. The topic is all about social status and the legal rights of women. It will be held from today, the 1st June, Monday to 6th June, Saturday. So at this moment, I welcome our beloved President, Dr. S. Raja Samuel, the Principal, Madras School of Social Work, the Coordinator, Professor Damien Quinn, as well as the speaker of the day, Advocate Adhilakshmi Logamurthy. Madam is practicing in High Court Madras, as well as Madam is the social activist. Today's topic is Introduction to Crime Against Women. Now I invite all the participants who have registered for this webinar series, and I welcome all of you to participate and get benefit out of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I invite Professor J. Damon Quinn to introduce the context and structure of the online certificate course.
Very good morning to one and all present here. This online certificate course on social status and legal rights of women is organized by Postgraduate Department of Social Work, Madras School of Social Work, in collaboration with the prestigious legal bodies, Management Labor Academy and Cyber Intelligence Academy. While looking at what is the major aim of this certificate course, our aim is to provide an opportunity for people to learn and stay updated with the issues pertaining to women. While setting the context for this show, by looking at the issues of women, women have been facing various problems and discrimination through ages. With this pandemic taking a heavy toll on everybody, there has been a steep rise in the crime against women across the country. Women have become more vulnerable to various crimes than before. We have seen the statistics released by Ministry of Women and Children as well. So when we heard about certain issues, so we thought as a social workers, it is our responsibility and we have a huge role to play, especially in standing against and voicing against the violence and support women. And exactly this situation has also parallelly revealed that there is a dire importance of legal awareness in order to protect and empower women across the society. So this is how the collaboration has worked. So we also felt that legal awareness is an essential to safeguard the rights of women. So this is a small initiative by the department where we try to reach out to many people as possible from various walks of life to educate them about the legal rights of women. So it is a 6-day slot. So today is the first day we are beginning. So today will be an introduction to women in crime, especially touching various acts related to our IPC and CRPC. And other 5 days, there are several legislation related to women. We have taken 5 core legislations related to women, and this is a 12-hour certificate course. And when you look at that, the certificate code comes with a grading as well. So each day there is an evaluation that comes in. So can I have the slide, please? The evaluation that comes in. So each day for 10 marks, and altogether it is 60. So the grades are there. So people who score from 50 to 60 will get A plus, and then 49 to probably there's a change, 49 to 50 there'll be A grade, and 39 to 30 will be B grade. And attendance is also compulsory for all 6 days. We have this streaming in 2 options. Platform number 1 in Zoom. So there are limitation of 100 participants in Zoom. And parallelly, department has opened up a YouTube channel where there's a live streaming opens, and that is a private channel. So that's not for public. So people who have registered alone can be part of it. And questions which you ask both in the chat box in YouTube channel as well as in the Zoom channel will be taken. The host will pose the question to the resource person, and the resource person will respond to us in that way. And we have the eminent resource persons who will be addressing different laws pertaining to women in our legal systems each day. And we hope that the participants take this knowledge forward and support the rights of women, leading to the formation of legal awareness and be very supportive to the society. So as part of the organizing team, I wish that let's all together, including myself, let's learn and share creating legal awareness to make our country a safe place and a better place for women. So in this context, I wish and appreciate each one of you who made a point to be part of this program. I wish everyone a great learning experience. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our principal, Dr. S. Raja Samuel sir, to welcome the resource person and the participants.
Good morning to all of you. It's an honor to welcome all of you for this online certificate course on social status and legal rights of women. I'm delighted that the department has come up with this topic. In the last 2 weeks back, I think 2 weeks, they have been running series of webinars on a variety of topics related to COVID-19. And now this is also an important topic. Maybe it's related, but it's also useful for general context too. Particularly, we have always noticed that in any vulnerable group becomes more vulnerable at times of natural disasters or pandemics and any disaster. So in this context, this topic becomes important. But even otherwise, I think we have been talking about the rights of legal rights of women for quite some years, quite some decades. But very often, whatever progress we made sometimes slides down and we are back in square one. Whenever we happen to come across some crime or some situation, we feel that we are back in square one. So it's important that we continuously address, continuously work on all these issues so that we really make some progress and some sustainable progress on this issue of rights of women. So I'm sure that this series of courses, and particularly this certificate course, will provide opportunity for us to understand that and help us see what we can do ourselves on these issues. And I'm honored that, I feel honored that we are partnering with the Management Labor Academy and Cyber Intelligence Academy. We thank their participation in this venture, and particularly all the resource persons. I am honored to welcome Madam Adhilakshmi Logamurthy, today's resource person, who's an advocate of the High Court and a very well-known social activist. Welcome you, ma'am, for this event, and I welcome all the participants. I just wish you all the best to make full use of this course. Thank you, and over to the organizers.
Thank you, sir, for your words of welcome. It is now my privilege to introduce the speaker of the day, Mrs. Adhilakshmi Logamurthy, Advocate of High Court, Madras, and also a social activist. Her educational qualifications include a bachelor's in law from Dr. Ambedkar Government Law College, Chennai, a postgraduate diploma in industrial relations and personal management from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Chennai, and a diploma in juvenile justice and psychology from the University of Madras. She has enrolled as an advocate on the rolls of the Bar Council of Tamil Nadu in the year 1993. She is currently practicing in almost all fields of the law. She is a senior panel lawyer of Tamil Nadu State Legal Services Authority and also a trainer and a guest faculty at Police Academy, Tamil Nadu. Ma'am was also a former secretary and vice president of the Women Lawyers Association, High Court, Madras. She is presently holding the post of external member in internal committee in various companies and organizations. She regularly ventilates her views on various legal and social issues through media, both print and audio and visual media. She has also co-authored and published a book titled A Compilation of Important Labor Laws and Disciplinary Proceedings, and authored a book titled Sattam Un Kayil in Tamil, dealing with women and children laws and their rights. She is a proud recipient of many awards, including the Women Achiever Award 2015 on Women's Day by the Indo-Russian Women Association, and a Rotary International Women Achiever Award 2015 to 16, and also the Madras Developmental Society International Social Activist Award in the year 2017. Over to you, ma'am.
Very good morning, respected principal, the head of the department, and the person who is the brainchild of this event, Madam Queen, the faculty who is coordinating this event, and of course the students who approached me first, Kritika, Sudarshan, and all. They wanted to raise a fund and give knowledge as well. Thank you, dear all, for inviting me and Management Labor Academy as a honorary secretary of the Management Labor Academy. It's proud participation with you, coordinating with you, and doing a program like this. And also, I thank my brother Karthikeyan, advocate, who is heading the Cyber Society Academy. And it's this collaboration of working on for e-certification course is really a delightful one. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Kritika, for such a nice introduction. I think let's go into the presentation directly. Actually, the slide that is being presented to you will be speaking more on the legislation because it's crimes against women. We all might be knowing because the participants is not only focused only on the social work students. When we were collaborating, we thought of only taking the session to the students who are pursuing social work. But later on, we thought that there were requests. There was a lot of faculties coming in from, and advocate friends of mine have joined in too. And there are a lot of criminologists, academicians, and also women and men from public as well as joined the session. But the session will be predominantly focused on the social work students, so that how they will be taking forward their work in dealing with the legislations in their future work, or as students in getting to know more about it. I like to touch upon the related legislations as well. Before entering into any law, the basic law of this country, the mother of all legislations of our country, is the Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution under Article 14 speaks of equality. When we speak of equality, there'll be a question: how come we have so many special legislation pertaining to women and children? We know we have lots of law pertaining to women and children. Even though the Article 14 of the Indian Constitution reiterates the fact that everyone in this country born are equal, irrespective of religion or the caste or the gender. Everyone in this country are equal. But again, Article 15, Clause 3 of the very same Indian Constitution gives a special privilege for the enactment of new legislation pertaining to the benefit of women and children, and the existing legislations can have an amendment pertaining for the benefit of women and children related legislation. And this background only, we have very many legislations, special acts for the benefit of women and children. Apart from that, we have to look into the international arena. India is signatory to the CEDA. CEDA is nothing but the international convention. It's a convention to eliminate all kinds of discrimination against women. India ratified this convention in the year 1993. After 1993, there were lots and lots of legislation that have been brought in the Indian context for the benefit of women and children. After signing of CEDA, all the signatory countries have brought in not only legislations, lot of the policy decisions of the government, both central and state governments, have brought in lot of policy decisions for the upliftment of the women and children as well. So in this background of looking into the Indian constitution and having in mind that there is an international convention, anything is international convention, any convention of the United Nations, if any signatory of that will be thinking that to be the parent legislation of the law. Very many legislations has come in. Apart from that, we have a lot of judgments also have been dealt with and deliberated where the provisions of CEDA have been looked into. So understanding this, we will go in further inside the law. When we deal of crimes against women, there are two nomenclatures we have to look into. One is crimes and one is women. What is a crime? What you call it as a crime? For our understanding of crime, an act or an omission which you do or you do not do, which the law requires you to do. A simple understanding, a person commits something. It might be an offense only when that act is prohibited, or when that act, if done, is going to be detrimental by doing an act, by committing an act or not doing it. For example, we are all in a situation, we are connected by Zoom because of the 144, because of the COVID situation that's prevailing throughout the whole universe as such. If we come out of our house in the specified time, we can come out now because of the relaxation. If we are outside in the public, it is an offense. So we are expected not to come out. If we do an act, it will become an offense. To our understanding, will go valid. But what is a law which speaks about women-related crimes? The Indian Penal Code, for our understanding, it's a general law. India doesn't have a common civil code, but all the criminal laws in our country is very, very common. Whether the Indian Penal Code or the Criminal Procedure Code or the Evidence Act, which predominantly deals with the crimes and the related procedures and all the evidentiary value which we take it forward with the judiciary to the courts, everything is common for all the people irrespective of anything. So the Indian Penal Code not only speaks about the women-related crimes, women-related crimes are part of it, it predominantly speaks about all the crimes. When was this act enacted? When was this code was brought into the legal system of our country? It was enacted by the Britishers. Of course, it was enacted in the year 1860, because the Indian society is what we live in today is a not even hit a century. We are 70 odd years. India was ruled by the Britishers for more than 350 years. And most of the legislations, what the Indians follow today, are most of them are Anglo-Saxon legislation. The Criminal Procedure Code underwent a change in the year 1973. But the Penal Code, predominantly, it has not undergone many changes, only few amendments whenever it is needed. It is what Lord Macaulay given is still hold goods for many of the provisions. Likewise, the Evidence Act was by James Stephen, and the Contract Act. So many legislations were given by the Britishers and still hold goods. And the Indian Penal Code, which predominantly speaks about the crimes against women, is the only legislation that's going to speak, because today is the first session and I'll be followed by Advocate Karthikeyan and of course my dear friend Ajita. Very good speakers, both of them have joined in this venture along with us, and of course the faculty from your own college, and one of the chief coordinator, Madam Queen, will also be deliberating on various legislations. Predominantly, the Indian Penal Code deals about the crime, but there are very many legislation which we have to deal with. The Dowry Prohibition Act 1961 is the very first special legislation which came into India. The Maternity Benefit Act 1961. Again, we have the indecent representation of women. We have the Immoral Trafficking Act. We have, for the Tamil Nadu government, the Tamil Nadu Women Harassment Act 2002, which came in the year 1997 as E-Teasing Act when Sarika Shah laid her life. And we have the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act, and we have the Protection of Women from Sexual Harassment at Workplace, and we have so many laws. It goes on and on. And of course, the Information Technology Act, which speaks about the protection of women from in the cyberspace, which we are going to be deliberated by Advocate Karthikeyan tomorrow. There's so many legislation pertaining to women, and lots and lots are there. So for our understanding of the Indian Penal Code, even though I'm giving all the legislations or all the provisions in this slide, but I'll be touching upon the major things which we are deliberating day in and day out. These are the slide which is displayed to all the participants. It speaks about miscarriage, a section on miscarriage. What is miscarriage? We all know there is a legislation to prohibit a sex selection. A sex selection of a child is prohibited in this country to protect a child, that to a girl child, even in the womb of the mother. So the prenatal pre-diagnostic test prohibited, in short call it as sex selection prohibition. That act came in the year 1990s. These act come into force. Again, there is one more act, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. So where you select the sex of the child, no, anywhere on the earth, the sex of the baby is selected by the Almighty God, and that holds good forever. So we do not think of the sex of the child, whichever child we get, it's the God's gift, we have to go by it. That is being reiterated by legislations. But unfortunately, when the child is there in the mother's womb, many of the people still in this country, many of the children are being done away with. Many of the children do not see the light of the day because the child in the womb is supposed to be, the fetus is supposed to be the girl child. So still in this generation, in this 21st century, we are talking about so much of literacy. We are talking about so much about women's liberation. We are talking about so much about the women's right everywhere throughout the length and the breadth of this country. Still in India, there are a lot of abortion happening. There is a lot of miscarriage is happening unwarranted with criminal intention. There are a lot of termination of pregnancy. I'm talking not about the legal termination. I'm talking about the criminal intention which is involved in termination of pregnancy. But for the medical reasons, of course, we can terminate pregnancy if we know the child in the womb has some medical problem. This child will not see the light of the day, or the mother carrying the child will have medical complications. Then the medical practitioners can terminate the child in the womb, and that too only for 20 weeks. That can be done. For the first 12 weeks, one medical practitioner has to do it, and after that, two medical practitioners for 20 weeks. After that, you have to get the court's permission to terminate the pregnancy of the mother. And one another way, there is a rape victim, and the rape victim doesn't want to if she is impregnated, she doesn't want to carry the womb she doesn't want to carry the child in the womb. She want to terminate that pregnancy because that might be a stigma. That is also permitted under law, even though the child is going to be a stable child, because of the child coming into the world in a with a stigma, if the mother is unwilling to take, and that is also permitted under law. The law permits only legal termination of pregnancy. So these provisions on miscarriage is given here, all the provisions from 312 to 318. It is speaking about lots of miscarriages, and everywhere the provisions is whether the lady herself, the woman herself who's carrying the child, terminates the pregnancy, or it is being done without the consent of the woman, or with the criminal intention. All these provisions from 312 to 313 deals about the miscarriages, and the punishments are being given, and each of the slide will speak for itself, because I'm going little fast because I have to cover so many sections. Kritika, I think we can go to the next one for the acid attack. You just can go slide one by one, because I'm stuck with only one slide. From 312, 313, 314, right till 318, it deals about the miscarriage. The child in the womb cannot be done away with criminal intention. So the other so you are seeing about act done to prevent the child, okay, conceived, okay, disposal, all these things till 318. You have to these slides for the participants, you will be having a test at the end of each days, and you have to score high grades to clear the e-certificate. I wish you all well. And the slides which are being prepared every day after the session will be given to you by the WhatsApp group they have created. That will be WhatsApp to you. So from that, you can have an idea. So when you speak about miscarriage, it's not only the provision of Indian Penal Code. We have to see into two more legislations pertaining to that. Now we are going into the acid attack, 326. I want a slide for 326, Kritika. I want 326. Kindly, please follow my words and slides, ma. Otherwise, participants. Okay. 326. This 326 here in Tamil Nadu, we all know about Vidya and Vinodini, two young girls who had to lay down their life of acid attack. And we know very many cases, not only Vidya and Vinodini, there are so many cases of acid attack being happened. And many of this time, this acid attack victims, we see there is a one-side love or some kind of infatuation of someone. So acid being thrown, or very many other reasons also. Predominantly, there is a kind of love affair involved, or there is a kind of infatuation involved. There is one side love or infatuation, we call, the guy wants to get married to that person, the girl doesn't say yes for that, or they have been in a relationship, the girl wants to leave that relationship for good or bad reasons, whatever. Most of these victims of the acid attack we have been seeing have been facing this. Most of us, we may not know the suffering which the victim of the acid attack is undergoing. We all have heard about the rape victims. Likewise, acid attack victims also are facing real hardest tasks, because predominantly this session is for the social work students, and social work students will be the students will be actively involved in the ground level. Lawyers or the police people are the people who are working on when the matter comes to the police station or to the court. Social workers or the people who are predominantly involved through their NGOs or individual social workers, or working for the government organizations like the One Stop Center or the Women's Commission, wherever they are posted. So these people will be predominantly working with the victims. So victim reconstruction, or constructing a victim's life, or rehabilitation of a victim is a very great work which has been done. And many of the social work students and social workers and a lot of the institutions have been working with all the advocates and police officers in working out the situation and getting them out of the trouble or crisis they have been here. This is a recent amendment. We all know Nirbhaya. Nirbhaya, we know Nirbhaya's name is Jyoti Singh. Nirbhaya laid down her life for a gang rape, an unfortunate incident which should never be taken good by anyone in this universe for days to come or years to come. It is a crime which will never go in good books. It has given a very nasty name. In this provision, what the acid attack which speaks of it says is that when a woman is being attacked by acid, this is a recent innovation, because after Nirbhaya's demise, the Indian Penal Code, the Criminal Procedure Code, the Indian Evidence Act, and the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, all these, can we go to 326, Kritika? I want that slide to be displayed. We are in a different slide. I'm talking about 326. I will instruct for the change of slides, because when I speak something, I know the provisions, but the people following me may not know the provisions, because I'll not keep on telling the provisions. Please go on to 326. Because 326, it has been divided into two parts, 326A and 326B. Okay, these two provisions had been incorporated in the Indian Penal Code. This has found its place in the Indian Penal Code because of the Nirbhaya's amendment. Because till that time, acid attack was not thought to be a crime. I'm not able to see the slide myself, ma. Can you share it? Okay. Okay, 326A and 326B is speaking of acid attack. And acid attack, one is to make the women who is attacked by acid, she will be losing part of her. When you attack the acid, most of the time, what happens is the victim, you're in front, somebody knocks the door, you open, they throw the acid. And you're standing in the bus stop, they come in the two-wheeler, they throw the acid. Most of the time, it is from this part, the head, from this head, the torso, below, above your waist, this is the part most affected. Sometimes most of the women, they lose their eyes, their nose, their mouth, and most of like the burn victims. Acid is something related to burn. It's a kind of burn that is happening, and your top portion will be getting burnt, and you will not be able to face the society. Many people will go under depression. So the reconstruction of this face, the plastic surgery to bring back to your normalcy, some people will not be able to see at all, and your eyes will be all sticky and it's closed. Some people will not be able to breathe. Some people will not be able to eat. So all these things you have to get yourself compensated with money. So what the legislators thought, after Nirbhaya's thing, the fine amount given, you have a punishment. The fine amount given in 326A and 326B will go to the victim as a victim compensation for rebuilding, reconstructing the medical expenses. As the Criminal Procedure Code is simultaneously amended, wherein the victim compensation scheme has been brought in. This victim compensation is being done with the help of the state government, and the State Legal Services Authority taking a place of distributing the victim compensation. Even interim victim compensation is given. So a burn victim who has been a victim of acid, who has been burned, has lost partially or totally has been damaged. So that is being dealt in 326A. So here there is a real damage being done to the women. And one of the provision of 326B, there is an attempt. Whatever said and done, sometimes the girls are lucky to escape. So some people attempt to throw an acid, but you don't get affected. Somewhere there is a acid, one or two, and a few places get burned. By not getting yourself attacked by acid and by not getting yourself damaged, thus the law is going to think in a very lighter vein. Definitely, the Supreme Courts have reiterated in the judgments, this acid attack, the criminals should never be given any leniency in dealing with these kind of offenses. Any offenses pertaining to women and children, not only acid attack, the act dealing with sexual harassment, and again it is dealing with the rape. These people cannot be dealt as easily, because by dealing them easy manner or be dealing them with leniency, that is not going to help the women of the future. So they are going to be very strict. So 326A and 326B has come into the provisions of the Indian Penal Code exactly on 3/2/2013. This amendment has come into force. These we call it as Nirbhaya Amendment, and 326A and 326B is Nirbhaya Amendment. When we deal about the acid attack, I should look into one of the citation. A citation means is a case decided by the court. For the non-lawyers, I'm telling. These citations speak of what the court will think about the law. We all know the laws are made by Parliament. Laws are made by the Parliament and the legislatures. This law is made by the Parliament because it's a central law applicable to everyone. So when the laws are being made by Parliament, there might be some doubts arising out of it, or some legal lacuna. So there are some things called as judge laws. Article 141 speaks about, the Indian Constitution speaks about judge made laws. Wherever there is a legal lacuna, or wherever there is a provision which is not being properly dealt with, whatever the Supreme Court of this country says will be the highest court of this country says will be law. So wherever there's a lacuna, then it becomes as law, and wherever there is a confusion in the situation, or it travels according to the time, because the Parliament doesn't sit in sessions to bring in the changes as and when necessary. Recently, we were talking about the unnatural offense 377, again part of the Indian Penal Code, and again we were talking about 497, adultery. These two provisions of the Indian Penal Code not so long ago have been made unconstitutional by the Supreme Courts in two of the landmark judgments. Now, unnatural offense 377 has taken a different tone. Unnatural offense so far which we have been dealt with is no more a law in eye of the legislation. The Supreme Court has dealt away with it, has made it as unconstitutional. So again, in Lakshmi's case, Lakshmi is an acid attack victim. This Lakshmi had filed a case for regarding the victim compensation and regarding the regarding the sale of acids. We all know now the sale of acids is being prohibited. Even in Tamil Nadu, now I know many people from many of the states are connected in the Zoom program, but predominantly Tamil Nadu has a notification for selling of acids. Acids cannot be sold just like that And if you want to get an acid, for which purpose? And even youngsters cannot buy acid below 18. You cannot give acid and the purpose of it, and you cannot sell it in wholesale, or so many restrictions. This is the case, Lakshmi's case, the acid attack victim herself, because she knows the pain of acid. So when acid is being provided to everyone, it's easy accessibility of acid will be, make many women victim of the future. So restraining the acid to be received by the public has to be done. And this judgment, which had restrained the acid selling as such, the procurement of acid, but technically speaking, the law says, and predominantly speaking, everyone should not get acid in hand, but anyone. But here in our society, unfortunately, we neither follow the legislations, we neither follow the judgments. We think we are the masters of all these legislations. Many a time we override it, and unfortunately, even in this acid case sale also, we get it easily. This should be curtailed, because when somebody using this is used as a weapon. Here, selling of a pistol, can anyone possess a gun without a license? No. You and I cannot possess a gun without a license. Any weapon for that, even a pistol or a rifle, even a smaller dangerous weapon. These are all weapons. We have to possess it only if we have the needed qualification to, we know about it for our own protection. We have a separate law to see to that we don't possess the arm. But in case if you don't have the arms, that is the weapon of a gun in your hand, okay, knife, it's easy accessible thing, but that also you cannot have a sharpened knives at your home. Maybe in sudden provocation, some private defense, some offenses do happen, but it comes under the general exceptions of the Indian penal code. They bring in some knife or some hatchet or something, they bring it. But acid has been taken the form of a weapon. So thinking in that perspective, the sale of the acid or having it into the girl's hand should be prohibited. Lakshmi's judgment has to be taken into word by word, and every government has to, the state and the central government has to see that anyone who doesn't follow the notification will be severely punished, and their license has to be cancelled. And one another judgment on acid attack was Parivardhan Kendra versus Union of India. In this judgment, where the victim compensation, where in this case, it speaks about the victim compensation. The law speaks about victim compensation, and many of the people do not get the compensation in their hands at the right time, because an acid attack victim or a rape victim have to be reconstructed. They have to be reconstructed at the earliest, and the medical expenses are very, very high. And getting them to normalcy at the earliest will give them the lot of benefit, because undergoing a pain of acid attack or a gang rape victim like Nirbhaya in vegetative state, we have to bring them. So this victim compensation, the fine, the beautiful thing which incorporated by we have to give credit to the Verma Commission, because after Nirbhaya's incident which happened in a December month, there was a commission which came place, and Honorable Justice Verma, and Honorable Justice Verma was the Chief Justice of this country, and in fact he has given very many landmark judgments. One of the judgments which is we have to give much credit to the Honorable Justice was that the Vishaka was a state of Rajasthan which deals about the sexual harassment at workplace, and there he took the help of SIDA and the Indian Constitution to deliver a beautiful judgment. Honorable Justice Verma was heading the commission which created the law, and in this law they had brought in very many provisions, even marital rape when the commission was deliberating, but unfortunately marital rape couldn't be deliberated upon much, and that didn't see the light of the day. At least we have a provision for the first time in the Indian legislation which deals about the acid attack. So take from me, acid attack is not a light offense, it is a serious offense. And again, we should see that, because as social work students, you have to look into that. These acids are not being easily available. We have to, it's not that we go through a course and we get ourselves acquitted by the knowledge, but working at a ground level will be done by most of the social workers, many of the NGOs, many of the government organizations. Look at the one-stop crisis center, look at the protection officers who have been appointed for the benefit of the women who are facing domestic violence. All these people are, most of them who have a graduation in master, or master's degree in social work. So social work is not only now social workers are doing it in a scientific method. It's not as if anyone can call themselves they are into social work. It's not only the legal background, they understand they empathize with the situation. Many times lawyers come into the picture, the police officer comes into the picture once after the offense is being committed, and the prosecutors comes in, the defense lawyers comes in, and amicus curiae, people like us taken as public interest litigation. So we come in a later stage, and social workers will be the first person to get in connected with the person. We all know the POCSO. We have lot of protection of children from sexual offences act. Lot of space for the social workers and the special educators, where the special educators for the special children or the service providers in the domestic violence act. Everyone taking the place. Now the law, the present legislation, all the legislation which we are going to deliberate on these 6 days, every law has a social worker inbuilt. Like the family courts, they have social workers as counselors and special counselors doing the work, trying to get the estranged couple together. So the punishments is also very high for 326 A and B. It's the punishments is really very, very high. Okay, can we go to the next slide, 354? Now only the slide is being displayed. Okay. 354, outraging modesty of a woman. We all, as a women, we know what is sexual harassment. Our mind will say. So far, till the Nirbhaya amendment, this provision had a different meaning and different connotation. After this Nirbhaya amendment, the sexual harassment has totally a different meaning. Sexual harassment, we should, this definition of sexual harassment holds good in the for the Domestic Violence Act, holds good for the workplace harassment, all the crimes in the public arena. No longer sexual harassment is something to do with the physique of a woman. Nothing, only we all feel that sexual, the word sexual means a body or a person, a personality. A sexual harassment of a woman, a hugging or a kissing or a molestation. This is not only the sexual harassment. The next slide, ma. Sexual harassment is something which hurts the emotion of a woman. We have to empathize with the situation. I do not seek sympathy from any one of the people here or people elsewhere. When a woman is attacked by any of these violence, either acid attack or a sexual offense, I do not seek any sympathy for them. We do not want a sympathetic approach, because many times people as advocates, as police officers and social workers, people who are stakeholders, when we are happen to see these victims, they themselves get psychologically so close with them, and they think themselves to be in their foot. And many of this situation we can see in eve teasing, because any women in the whole universe would have been attacked at least one time on a eve teasing situation, including Adhilakshmi. Somewhere in our life, maybe today people will not talk on face of me, but I see lot of cyber postings on me. When I open my Facebook, when I speak something about the transgenders, there'll be some 100 messages accusing me, my family, everyone of it. It's an attack on a womanhood, because they don't want a women to speak vociferous. Anything is said and done, any woman speaks about justice, that too a justice for a woman, said and gone, be attacked. So eve teasing is one thing predominantly most of the women children have faced in their life, and this will attack a woman, that too the mental trauma or the suffering the women faces. So predominantly sexual harassment not only deal any physical advances, it is also if you have something to do with verbal, something to do with non-verbal. So what can be a non-verbal thing? Somebody looking at your eyes, somebody sizing at you from top to bottom. You're standing in the bus stop, a guy in the motorbike standing in the opposite platform looking at you from top to, this will just put scare you, this will shatter a woman. So sharing a pornographic material. So sexual harassment, in the definitions you will be the slides will be shared to you. Sexual harassment predominantly not only means only the physical assault, it is also the psychological thing that is happening to women. Many of the women are facing the psychological assault more than the physical assault. Physical assault, we see the women are being faced day and day out. All the newspapers, all the media reports, everything speaks about the rape, the acid attack, everything. But the psychological impact of the women of those attacks as well, and the psychological attack of a EFT's women or a women on a sexual harassment, this we do not talk much because we think it is not a very grave offense happening on a woman. Only a woman will know and understand, and that too a woman who has faced these issues will understand more, because most of the cases which you see has been filed either by the women as who was a victim, or an NGO who have been working for the cause of women because they know the pain. So it's back on the screen. So the predominantly what the provisions I'm dealing, all these provisions, the victim is predominantly only women. The sections I'm dealing, Indian Penal Code is gender bias. It's common for all gender. But what are the provisions I am looking into today are basically or only women. Women are the victims. So physical contact, advancing, involving unwelcome and explicit sexual, and demand or request for sexual favors. It happens in workplace or your institutions, or on the way, making sexually colored remarks. It happens. You call a person with a sexually colored remark thinking it's a joke or something as a laughing stock. It's not. It hurts the sentiments of the women. Please, ma, I want the slide. The person who's handling the slide, please go with me. If you go in your direction, people will get confused. Please go one by one. At least I will tell the next slide. So again, sharing of pornographic material is also going to be a sexual harassment. So that is also not welcome at all. Okay. And again, in 354, we are speaking about something like disrobing of women. Maybe in down south, we do not see much of it, but mostly in North India and many of the places, if there, that too, the women from downtrodden families, specifically Dalit women face, if there is something happening, there's some fight between a men of two community, the women of the lowest strata, they are destroyed for no fault of them. She was not part of any crime. She was not part of any deliberation which went on this man. Unfortunately, these women will be disrobed and they would be paraded nakedly. So disrobing of a woman is not well taken, and that has taken a ugly turn, and this should be curtailed, because women's honor is the honor of the society. How can we call a society a civil society? If we want to call the society a civil society, India a civil society, then the society which upholds the womanhood, the society which treats a woman on a higher pedestal, don't give me the status of a god. I don't want to be called as a god. Calling myself as a god and worshipping me is not that. Calling my land as a motherland, calling all the rivers of the mountains with the name of women, that is not going to be putting me in the pedestal. Giving me the space, giving me a required space. It's not the space. I don't want anyone to come and say, this is your space. This is what you have to wear. This is what you are supposed to do. I don't require this space. I require the space, my own space. I will select the space which I want to live in. That kind of freedom has to be given to a woman. This kind of freedom is curtailed in many societies, even though with lots of legislation. So this kind of freedom only we are aiming about. We are not talking about feminism. We are talking about the rights of the women. Our feminism includes men. When we speak of women's right, women, the word nomenclature includes men. Female includes male. She includes he. So we are not against men. We are not against any gender. We are only speaking of the rights of women. So women have to give the utmost right. So we are going to do the next one, voyeurism. There was some time back, we read in newspapers, there was a union minister who was a woman. She went to a shopping mall to try on a dress, and unfortunately there was some video that what was being recorded, and to a shock and surprise, it was a big shopping mall where she was trying to fit in her dress. Then she could see some camera. It can happen to any women, because women are going out. Maybe today we are in COVID situation, sitting at home, but there are situations we can see that women have been captured or look into when they are using a private space. Women are using her restroom, and women are changing their clothes, or women are using her private place. In this space is only for women, and nobody has to peep into that by a keyhole or take a camera, mobile, or to take. Nowadays, maybe tomorrow cyber crimes, Karthikeyan will be dealing on cyber laws. Mobile phone which we are carrying today, with which I am conversing with you, all the cyberspace, Facebook, the Twitters, or wherever you go, the cyberspace, it's unsafe for you. Whatever you've said and done, whatever you post, or whatever pictures you post may be misused by you. So it is a kind of stacking in cyberspace happening here. So voyeurism is one thing which has found its space. It's again a penalized one. It's punishment. You unwanted, so you can private act, sexual act, use of lavatory, all these things. You expose a woman by your capturing a picture, or you look into, it's a offense punishable by law. When we were young women, we didn't have this kind of laws coming to place. One thing, the women who are listening, apart from the lawyers who know an idea about the legislations, or you practice these legislations and day in and day out, other people should know and take it forward, because these are the legislations which are going to be helpful for the women of the generation next, who are going to carry forward. Now we have hit the space, we are on the rockets, but we have to see our basic rights are being protected. And again, there is a cyber stacking. The next provision of section 354D speaks about stacking. We have seen about the stacking happening in the cyberspace. Literally, when a woman is being stacked, when you're walking from your home to your college, when you're walking from your home to your institution, somebody is following you. We were dealing about the acid victims or the acid attackers, 326A and B. Every incident, every crime against women will start with cyber stacking. 354D of Indian Penal Code is the status, or where the crime, the starting point of any crime. If someone looks at us, someone wants to be friendly with us, or we develop a friendship with a person, so they start with the stacking. We are being followed. We are being followed inch by inch. They know all our whereabouts. They know all our timings which we travel. Unknowingly, we come into contact with these people without knowledge. This person would have been our Facebook friend. We have seen a lot of incidents, even in Tamil Nadu. We saw an incident like Shwati, murder of Shwati, and Siriseri, Ruma, Punita, and we saw Vidya, Vinodini, and recently one of the child during the COVID incident in her own place, she was being burnt by two people for their own feud between the parents. So many victims of women and children we see day in and day out. So 354 A, B, C, and D, all these things deliberate on the sexual harassment, or the private space of a woman have to be given a kind of respect. And after that, you have provisions where you speak of kidnapping. And kidnapping, trafficking, all somewhere, no. Why kidnapping happens? For ransom. Okay, you've been kidnapped for a ransom. Or sometimes women are kidnapped for getting into marriage. Somebody likes you and they want to get married with you. They can kidnap you. So kidnap is something, they can abduct the bride. So kidnapping and abduction we see often, and most of these kidnapping or the abduction happens for ransom. But again, kidnapping a girl or abducting a grown-up woman from the lawful guardianship. Who's a lawful guardian? Below 18, the lawful guardian is the parents. Because most of the cases, when the cases come to the police station or court, we see a lot of the POCSO cases. POCSO case was brought into look into the issues pertaining to the child abuse. But unfortunately, a different turn has happened in the protection of children from sexual offences. What this act nowadays deal with, the elopement cases. Below 18 cases, below 18, both the boy and the girl are being dealt from the POCSO case. People get into love even in their 9th standard, 8th standard, before they complete their schoolings. Unfortunately, what happens in POCSO, one of the girl will be a victim, the boy will be a offender, and they will be dealt with the Juvenile Justice Act, and they will be dealt in a juvenile court. But if now there is a change in the Juvenile Justice Act also, 16 to 18 years, they do an offense, that to a heinous offense of the nature of having a sexual assault on a woman with the intention and knowledge, then you can be tried on par with women. So most of the kidnapping, most of the stacking, all these things basis for some big crimes, huge crimes, worse crimes on women happening. So kidnapping is being, abduction and kidnapping is being dealt from the 363 till 370 speaks of trafficking. Trafficking is the worst offense. So the slides, I will be sharing with the slides with all the participants here, and I will leave my mobile number. I'll leave my mail ID. You can contact me anytime. Because of paucity of time, I have to rush, because crimes against women is a very huge topic, and that too I'm not deliberating in front. People are not sitting. I'm talking with a instrument in front of me, my mobile. So I don't know what is the reaction, whether you're understanding me or there is any lots of queries coming into each mind. Is anybody okay with the speed I'm going at? I'm not able to understand. From now on, I'll try to concentrate more, because I have to cover a whole lot of session. I don't know how much minutes more left with me. So trafficking, if you take the world, the whole world, the most crimes which is happening is trafficking. Two types of trafficking that happens. One is drug trafficking, and that is human trafficking. The most predominant high-paying criminals are traffickers. I'm talking about the whole world. I'm not talking about the India, only the Indian context. Because drug trafficking is one kind of offense. We have the golden crescent and the golden triangle or something happening in the borders from Afghanistan, from Nepal, where we can get a hold of drugs or where we can handle it. Drug traffickers and human traffickers are the people who are involved in these kind of crimes, are the most paid offenders in the whole world, and it's a big mafia that's happening. What for human trafficking happens? One is trafficking happens is for slavery. Humans are trafficked and they are put into jobs like slavery, bonded labors, and for the organs. You have to have your kidneys or other organs. So for that organ and for slavery. And again, girl children and even some boy children and women are predominantly, they are being trafficked. Predominantly they are kidnapped and trafficked. So they procure the child, they kidnap the child, they kidnap the women, then they traffic them to, they sell them. Trafficking is nothing but selling and buying. They are dealing with trafficking. So someone is kidnapping. Trafficking starts with a kidnapping. So somebody is being abducted, somebody is being kidnapped, and they do that offense. Again, they do into trafficking. By trafficking, what they mean is they traffic the woman for the purpose of prostitution. Women and girl child are being pushed into the flesh trade. It's atrocious. So many people from underprivileged sector, many of the parents or many of the people unknowingly, they think that the girl is going to go for work. They unknowingly give the child for a yearly, a very meager money. They give the child, and unfortunately, most of these women are trafficked. They are sent to Bombay or some places, Mumbai or some places where prostitution are going in a very huge racket. So this is also not easily dealt with the Indian Penal Code. It has been taken a severe term. Trafficking of a person, again, a exploitation of a trafficked person, how you exploit them, how you habitually traffic a person. So all these things. And again, when we deal about, then we will go the crime, the unfortunate incident that is happening to the women of the universe. It's the crime that is being happening. Rape is not a small term. It's not a 4-letter word. It goes into the history. It's a very, very worst crime. A woman who undergone this cannot even imagine of a life in the society. Nirbhaya, imagine for 2 or 3 seconds the plight of Nirbhaya. Just each and every participant who was sitting inside this session, just imagine for 2 seconds, closing the eyes, the torture Nirbhaya would have undergone when she was raped and when she was in the hospital beds till she breathed her last. An unfortunate incident happening in that girl's life, who had lots of dreams. Her only thing was she ventured outside the home to watch a movie. Doesn't a woman has a right to watch a movie, that too along with a male member along with her side to protect her? And in the middle of the night she comes, unfortunately thinking that bus which was parked there to be a transport which can be used. She gets into it, the partner is done with, she is be done with, and it was a common intention. It was a gang rape being done there. Nirbhaya laid down her life. She fought for her life. She laid down her life. And only recently the convicts have been done away with the capital punishment, and it had a very great time, long time. But generally, capital punishment is given in our country only for the heinous crime, because world over, not only in India, the United Nations member countries are all deliberating, should we have a capital punishment as a mode of punishment at all? Capital punishment is the highest punishment in any system, taking away the life of certain things. In India, only for the rarest and rare cases, and for the heinous crime only, the capital punishment for rape, dacoity, all these things only we have capital punishment. For murders and all only we have death as a punishment. Otherwise, we have a new form of punishment where it's a life imprisonment for the life, the whole life. If you're going to live for 80 years of your life and you're given life sentence, it is not that 14 years you come out. You have to spend till the last breath of your life in the prison. So this is as an alternative punishment has seen the light of the day inside the Indian provisions of the Indian Penal Code. Now the Nirbhaya are on. Generally, we have an idea, we have a connect as public, as per people, we are as a women, or as people working for the cause of women, we all have an idea that killing a person, we have to give a death sentence. Rape for a woman or sexual harassment, all these things which is not be easily taken, it's a heinous crime, we have to do away with them, then the crime will stop. The highest the punishment, the people will be scared. Really, I'm telling you, this is a imagination. A punishment is not going to deter a new criminal. There should be a system change. There should be a change in our society. Here we had in Tamil Nadu a case, that too in Chennai we had a case where Darshan, an engineering graduate, was very young at age, done away with the rape of a child, sexual harassment on a child who was hardly 5 to 6 years old, and she had raped the child and killed the child, and also after coming out of the bail, he kills his own mother also. So this kind of vulnerability of mindset, perversion, how it creeps in a mindset of the young persons, because this has to be curtailed. Giving a punishment is one thing. A crime has happened, you have to give a punishment to the criminal who has done it. How will we protect the women of the future? That is the thing we have to look into. As social workers, as lawyers, as academicians, as criminologists, or as a person who is interested in the cause of the women or children, we have to ponder and think how to stop the future criminals being come into force. Then the education system in the society has to have a drastic change. There should be a lot of change in the societal mindset. A women and a men should be seen in the equal platform. Law sees women along with men. They are put in the same pedestal, but the practicality, the society, the societal status of women is not as good as we think. The society doesn't see women in the state. The status of women in the society is one more thing. The legal status is one more thing. We are speaking about the legislations. The law is very beautiful when you read it. But when you go and work upon the legislations as a social worker, as a lawyer, or as a police official, we find it difficult to get a real justice out of it. Now we are going into the provisions of rape. Rape provisions had a different change. After Nirbhaya, we had a different. So far, penetrative sexual assault, what we call as penetration, there should be a penal vaginal penetration to constitute rape. And normal penetration was so far thought to be a rape. So this definition of penal vaginal penetration took a drastic change after the Nirbhaya demise, because Nirbhaya's death, we all know, happened out of an iron rod. We do not know who did it or who did, because it's said and done. One person was out of the prison because he was a juvenile. He didn't face lot of punishment. That brought in a change in the Juvenile Justice Act. 2015, the Juvenile Justice Act was amended. In a future deliberation, we will look into all those acts where 16 to 18 years of age, if they do a crime with the knowledge and they have observation being done and that is being positive, they will be tried on par with Allah. But international convention again says till 18 they have to be treated as juvenile. Whether this amendment of ours is in consensus with international convention or not is a different deliberation, because the international convention, we were talking about CEDA, a convention to eliminate all kinds of discrimination against women. So this is for women. This was ratified in the year 1993. The year 1992, there was one another child rights convention which was ratified by the India, which speaks of child rights. And that's why we have a lot of legislation like Juvenile Justice Act, the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. Again, we have the marriage laws pertaining to the children, prohibition of marriage. So now any kind of penetration, any kind of insertion, any kind of manipulation, any kind of application will be constituted as rape. So it is not only the penile vaginal penetration, any kind of manipulation. If somebody manipulates this hand or a leg or any organ of his body, manipulate it and make a insertion, make a penetration, that will become a penetration equal to vaginal penile penetration. So insertion of an object, it might be a rod, it might be a chalk piece, it might be a carrot, it might be a vegetable. If you see into small children, child rape, I happen to see in my personal self a 3-day-old child. The child was born only 3 days. There was a feud between two brothers for a property, and the child was inserted with a vegetable inside the her vagina, and the young child saw the end of the life. It was very difficult to see all these things. It's not always rape is done with the intention, only with perverted intention. We do not know why these criminals think of some ulterior motive. When we see all war happening in the world, who will be the most affected? The women and the children. If there is a feud between a family, the most affected, the women and the child. Recently, we saw a child being done away with. She was burnt alive. In her dying declaration, she found out the accused who did it. It was the feud between the families. So, for someone or somewhere is the reason a woman or a child is being done rape or being burnt. This is atrocious. This has to be stopped. This has to be given a very big full stop. We should not take it forward, and we have to work for it. So, any penetration, any insertion, any manipulation, any application. What is application? There will not be any penetration or insertion involved. It's a mere application or a mouth or something which is happening on that will form a rape. This is a welcome change. So far, a woman can only talk about penile vaginal penetration. If someone gets hold of a woman and may by application of mouth, she was done away with, that was not considered to be rape. Nirbhaya has given a big legislative change, big change in the legal system, wherein each and every connotation has given, because rape can be happening in insertion, a manipulation, an application. So far, it was not being dealt. Now, the present cases, after the 2013 amendment, which has taken place in the Indian Penal Code, it has come into. Simultaneously, it has been dealt about the gang rape, vegetative state. Nirbhaya was in a vegetative state. She was almost like a vegetable, unable to bear the pain. She was just lying down on the beds of the hospital. So somebody is being raped, and she is being, there is one case, Aruna Shempak case. There was a nurse in Mumbai who was raped, and Aruna Shempak case was speaking about euthanasia to kill the suffering patient. But what Aruna Shempak case was that she was raped by a person and she became a vegetative state and she was lying in the hospital. But the culprit of Aruna Shempak case, the criminal is out. But Aruna Shempak was looked after. She was a nurse. She was a staff nurse of a hospital where she was raped and she went into the vegetative state. And that case, the nurses who were working along with Aruna Shempak, they were taking care of her. But one stage comes, why can't this girl who was facing all these things for 20 years, this woman, can be done away with euthanasia? But the court went against it because killing a person by euthanasia will give different connotation. But that case when taken for a rape for vegetative state. So a woman going into vegetative state, that is going to be seriously dealt with now. Minimum 20 years to life imprisonment, death is the thing. And a rape is happening by a husband when the child is, when the woman is below 15 years. A rape is being done by the person in charge, a police official, an army officer, or a person who is in charge of a hospital, a warden, an observation home, any person who is in authority, a hospital in charge, or in home. If I am a patient in a hospital, I am under the care and concern of the hospital. I have to be looked in when. I am in an observation home as juvenile. I am in an observation home as a child who has been uncared and left out. I have to be taken care. If a woman goes to the police station, she has to be taken care. An official has, nowadays women cannot be called in the police station. Even a victim women cannot be called. All the criminal procedure code amendments will look into if time permits. So this is the voluminity of the criminal law which has taken its place. I'm not going by section with the punishment. I'm just telling you what is it for you to learn and understand. So all these provisions, maybe if, next slide. I think okay, again, when we deal with it, the gang rape is 376D, wherein the Mukesh and versus state, they have been punishment. Next slide, I spoke about 376C and all. And this is what gang rape is about. This is where its life and death is given. And again, when I was speaking about the acid victim, I was telling about the compensation, victim compensation. Here again, the rape victims, fine will be given as victim compensation. And again, the state has have a Nirbhaya fund which has not been disposed of properly. That's what they, you have to give this victim a compensation to reconstruct and rehabilitate. State Legal Services Authority has looking into the matter. They try to give victim compensation. Right now for the rape, the matter of Mukesh versus Union of India is the landmark judgment where the Nirbhaya accused were done away with capital punishment recently. So this is the landmark case to deal with, and this is the case which this is the incident for which has given lot of changes. All the legislation which I am speaking of now is mostly because of the Nirbhaya amendments. All that we call it as Nirbhaya amendment because it not only gave a change in the rape related offenses, it gave a change in almost all the offenses pertaining to women and children. Shall we go to the next slide? Offenses relating to marriage. I think this is over. Okay. Here, there is a change in this particular thing. 497, adultery has been done away unconstitutional in a major change in the legal arena, which the court recently dealt in a case where adultery is no more as offense in the eye of law. Okay, so the major section which the Marriage Act, marriage is an institution, a predominant of institution of union of men and women, but we can't say only men and women. In India, the union of families. That's what bringing dowry harassment, that one bringing domestic violence, and a lot of this happening here. So a union of a man and women in the institution of marriage, in the name of marriage, the girl will be entering into marriage with lots and lots of hopes. There are two predominant sections we have to deal with. One is bigamy, 494, and one is 498 capital A, dealing with the cruelty of women by the husband and the relatives. So here in the marriage offenses, these two other sections. Bigamy is Indian family law. When we take about the family law here in India, here we don't have a common civil code. We have family law, we religious laws. Hindu Marriage Act 1955 is dealing with the marriage and divorce of a Hindu, and we have a Christian Marriage Act and the Divorce Act of 1869 to deal with the Christians, the Shariat for the Muslims, and the Parsi Marriage and Divorce against the Special Marriage Act 1954 for the persons they have following different religion. And we have Foreign Marriage Act, so many Marriage Act, and Child Marriage Prohibition Act of 2006. We have so many legislations pertaining to marriage. Again, compulsory registration of marriage of 2009, so many laws. We speak on marriage, is a separate arena, we can keep on speaking this. So all the marriages laws, every law of this country, except for one case, speaks of only monogamy. Only one spouse at a time. If you have a spouse living, otherwise if you're married and if you're not divorced and still the case is pending in the court, you're not supposed to remarry. And this bigamy is equal for both men and women, even if it will attract for women as well if she goes in for marriage. But many, as a lawyers, when we see cases, very rarely a woman goes into adultery or women goes into bigamous marriage. Mostly it is men who enter into marriage with a woman in the legal marriage. He goes in for another marriage, cheating both the women. Or they have many marriages. But the exception for this is a Muslim man can have 4 legal wives according to their shariats. Their shariats allow them to have 4 wives at a time. He can marry 4 people, and this 4 marriage will be construed as a legal marriage. After 4 marriages, then this bigamy might attract. but nowadays nobody goes in for 4 marriages having one spouse, whether whichever gender it may be. It is very, very difficult to run with one marriage with this all these situations. But there are people, in the name of marriage, they deceive people. They enter into remarriage for the sake of having a relationship, or sometimes for monetary gain also they go into for remarriage. Or sometimes this is happening. This is not very well accepted by the civil society. Bigamy is an offense. Whoever done is an offense. So this is be seriously dealt with it, because when you see about these crimes, this marriage related offenses will be the root cause for many of the domestic violence. Domestic violence is a civil legislation executed in a magistrate court. I'll be dealing domestic violence on Wednesday. So Wednesday we deal with domestic violence. So it's something, this crimes against women is a serious kind of offenses. Domestic violence also an offenses happening for a woman in a domestic front. So this bigamy 498 hai, you might feel there is a thin line of difference between domestic violence and all the crimes against women in the marriage related things. Likewise 354 and 375, there might be some confusion happening. Is the molestation again 505 modesty of 509 modesty of women. So as lawyers we might understand the differences. There might be thin layers of differences, otherwise other people understand whatever is there. Otherwise you post a question where I will deliberate. So again 498 capital A, this is by cruelty by husband and the relatives of the husband. Most of the dowry related cases are being dealt with under this provision. Dowry Prohibition Act 1961 is a separate act. Since Dowry Prohibition Act was not having the nail to go inside, it didn't have the thorn to prick. So they brought in a change in the Indian Penal Code in the year 1983 in form of 498 capital A. And in the year 1986, 304B, dowry death, was brought into the Indian Penal Code, giving a criminal trench to the dowry related issues. But it predominantly speaks of cruelty by husband and relatives. Even there is no dowry, but a woman is physically and mentally targeted by the family of the husband and his relatives, then this provision comes into play. But predominantly this cruelty happened only for the sake of dowry. And when we speak of dowry, there should be difference. What is dowry and what is Sridhana? Something on demand is only dowry. Something which we give voluntary is not dowry. Something which is demanded for this, for that. If you do not bring in this, you will not be able to live in this home. If you do not give this, you will be facing a divorce case. Or something like a threat on the women. Sometimes the children are separated from the women. There was one case, the child was born. Within 3 hours, the mother-in-law took the child from the mother, asking for a dowry payment which was pending from the father-in-law of the husband. So these kind of inhuman behavior are still persistent because they wait for the situation where to pounce for dowry. Demanding dowry is one of the worst thing any male members can think. The present generation are coming out of this. That's what we see less and less, but it's there seen in the domestic violence cases more and more. So it's a cruelty by husband or his relative, even a female relative, doing with the women, and they face a punishment. It's not a mere punishment, minimum 3 years, extend till 3 years, minimum punishment, but extend till 3 years and fine. Domesticity is a place a women can live with dignity. In that place, a woman cannot find it a place. How will it be possible for us to carry it forward, saying that we are in a civil society and we are women? So conjointly, I don't have the slides of other provisions, but you have to look into the interim victim compensation scheme, and the victim compensation scheme has found its place in the criminal procedure code. And again, the police officers taking 161 statements, they will not be calling the victim women a rape victim or acid attack victim, any of the victim crimes against women. They need not call the victim to the, especially acid attack rape victims, to the police station. The police women have to go in person to the place of the choice of the victim women, and maybe her home or the hospital where she is there. So she will be, the victim women will be have the liberty to select the place, and the police women have to be going in the plain clothes to take the evidence. 161 statements are the statement by the police officer, which is being taken during interrogation. 164 statement, magistrate statement is being dealt with 164. Again, lot of stakeholders find a place in the recent legislations. Many of the recent legislations now, previously all these victims have to go only to the government hospitals. Now all the private hospitals or any of the hospitals have the duty upon them to take in all the rape victims or acid victims. Whichever hospital you enter first, they have to give the first aid, they have to give the necessary initial treatment, then only they have to shift to the government hospital if they want. So any private hospital, any private clinic, because they will be scared to go as give us a witness box. So law has changed. So anyone has to take these people into consideration. Again, there is zero FIR. They'll be telling this jurisdiction for us and that jurisdiction for you and all. So any woman can lodge a complaint wherever she is. It's zero FIR. Later on, this jurisdiction police station will take forward this case. The woman need not find out the jurisdiction. They can lodge the FIR if they find the jurisdiction is not proper. So this will be transferred to a normal jurisdiction. And again, there is a change in identification parade. If a special child or a special woman, a girl child, or a person who's not able to, these things have to be videographed, and the help of a special educator. If a spastic woman has been raped, to understand her connotation, there should be a special educator coming in the place. So social workers has a lot of roles to play in future with the women issues and children related issues. So a law cannot be looked into one particular legislation. So you have to look into the Indian Constitution and the related laws, because when you look into the case of miscarriage, you have to look into the prenatal and preconceptive diagnosis text, that sex selection prohibited, that law, and medical termination of pregnancy. And if we look into the 498A provision, Dowry Prohibition Act 1961 has to come into your place. If you're talking about trafficking, Moral Trafficking Act, that has to be dealt along with it. Criminal law in the Indian Penal Code is a general law. It applies to common. There are very many special laws pertaining to women and children. So when you look into a particular legislation, we have to look into the other legislations which are the special legislation in nature. In Tamil Nadu, we have Tamil Nadu Women Harassment Act of 2002, which came into the year as Eve Teasing Act 1997 as Sarika Shah's death. So we have to look into all these legislation conjointly. We have to look into the Criminal Procedure Code. We have to look into the Indian Evidence Act. Since there are a lot and lots of provision, I do not know whether the time is out. Maybe I can take the questions. If you have any questions, good questions, we can deliberate. And from that, I can give. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving this platform. I'll wait for the questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Kritika.
So the first question here is from Mr. Oliver. He asked that, does Sexual Harassment Act apply to married couple? If yes, in that way, is rape offender is from economically poor, how can he pay the fine?
There are two questions. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So
okay.
The first question is that, yeah, the Sexual Harassment Act.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question. We don't have a marital rape provision, but we were talking about 376B, a sexual harassment or a rape happening to a woman who's married, is below age by a husband, then will be construed as a rape. So there is a marriageable age. Some marriages happen before that, but every woman will not come out and complain. If there is a complaint in that person, it will be construed as a rape. But so far, we don't have a marital rape provision. So again, when we look into the people, if a offender who's a person who is poor cannot pay the fine amount. If a person who does a crime is not able to pay the fine amount, and most of these criminals have the topmost lawyers defending for them. When they are able to pay the topmost lawyer, why can't they pay the victim a victim compensation? No, you have to think in the perspective of the victim. It can be retrieved from the property if he has. So you will have something, we can retrieve from that way. Or he will be working in the prison where he will be given a salary that can be compensated. but actually court will look into the situation, capacity of the victims to be paid. All these things will be taken into criteria, even though it has not been deliberated much. They will be looking to the financial aspect. How will the victim be compensated in the fine by the way of fine? And again, when you're not paying the fine, you will be facing little more imprisonment. So the imprisonment criteria for non-payment of fine, every crime, every offense, the punishment clause will say in clause, when the order is being dealt with, if the judge is giving an order, judge is giving a judgment, they'll say on these counts you have been found guilty. Count A, B, C, there is common intention. 34, read with 376D, and all these provisions, 354. So for Nirbhaya, it would have been 34, it would be 354, and it would be in 376D, like that. So each and every count, what is your punishment given and what is the fine amount given? In case if you fail to pay the fine amount, what is the extra imprisonment you are going to face? If you are going to pay that fine will be going as a compensation. Apart from that, the state has a responsibility to look into the acid attack victims and the rape victims, because there is a fund being created by the government, wherein the State Legal Services Authority of each state will look into the disbursement of the victim compensation.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Sindhya Ravi. She wants to know that in many cases wherein women misuse this Dowry Act against men and wants to know your view on that.
Every law will be broken, ma. We told 144, sit inside your home, don't go for shopping, don't go for panic shopping. How many of you sit inside our home, or how many of us were sitting inside the home? We were all going inside the panic shopping. The COVID is not leaving Chennai for at least for now, and some red areas and some areas is good. Okay, any act will be, it's not only women related legislation. Any act is being misused. If you tell someone to wear an helmet, they'll ask so many questions to us. Right to Information Act has been misused. Lot of legislations have been misused. But again, any act should not be misused. 498A came in here. Now the Supreme Court has diluted it. Previously, when it came in the year 1983, I used to say it has a super duper hit till 2000. Till that time, it was seriously viewed. And after that, the Supreme Court and High Court judgments, when we deliberated, looking into the cases, they told it has been a false complaint, or the women couldn't make her case with the evidence to be produced in the court. So a false complaint has to be dealt with seriously. We cannot leave it freely. But unfortunately, we do not have any provision to punish the malicious complaint or the wrong complaint. As in the protection of women from sexual harassment workplace, a malicious complaint given by a woman at the workplace of sexual harassment, a wrong or false complaint, she will face the same penal consequence like the men as given by the rules. But here we do not have that provision. But these kind of things, the judiciary and the bar and the bench is a greater role to play. If you find that a case has been falsely given, then we have to see to that the innocent should not be punished, and we have to see that he has been released at the earliest. That should be if you go for the bail. Unfortunately, because recently I appeared in a case where a mother and the actor's son was and they came at the fag end of the day. It was a Saturday. They knocked my doors at 9 o'clock. They asked they are arresting. They called for interrogation. They are arresting the mother and the son. Nothing has that happened. It was a misunderstanding that has happened. They've been fighting and they are talking on terms of divorce. Now they have lodged a complaint. They are arrested. They are taken for remand. I went to the magistrate at the mid of the night. It was in fact 2 o'clock in the night. I went to the magistrate home to fight for the mother because the mother was innocent in that. But somehow it has been lodged and something has happened. How the arrest was happening by the police people, because it was not that person personally present. And since it was a media person that came in the papers, I went for the cause of the mother because the husband had one count on him. There was 4 counts, 3 counts. They didn't have an evidence. One hospital, a private hospital, had given a husband at hit. That one word, he was in prison for 1 day or 1.5 days, and he again came out because an innocent mother-in-law going inside. Again, a woman is involved in that. And all should atrocities. I'm a lawyer. I work for men, women, trans, any gender, genderless, or people in suffering. So if a man is suffering, I'll be the person to come for men. So unfortunate, incidents do happen, but it's the percentage is very less, but it should be highly condemned. I do not appreciate women who give false evidence for any purpose. I do not support them at all.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from YouTube. Ms. Teresa asked you to explain on cognizable offense.
Okay. In criminal procedure codes deal with cognizable and non-cognizable offense. For a easy understanding, I don't know whether you're a legal person or a non-legal person. For even a lawyers will find it difficult to understand bailable, non-bailable, cognizable, non-cognizable. You can arrest a person just like that. You know, there should be a warrant. Okay, you can take cognizance of an offense. This women-related offenses is cognizable. Okay, you can take them under your custody. You can arrest the person. You can take for them interrogation. You need not have an authority. You need not have a warrant to do that. That kind of understanding, I think you are understanding it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is it sufficient?
Yes,
You can
ma'am,
take them,
all
if somebody is coming to cognizable, you can take them under your care and custody, or you, I can't call it care. You can take them under custody, interrogation. You do not wait for a warrant to come into place. You can take cognizance of the matter once it is, if the heinousness of the crime. Certain matters, only the warrant you can arrest the person. Okay, certain matters need not have a warrant. A rape offender is in front of your own eyes. If there is someone who has done a murder in front of your own eyes, you need not wait for the warrant from the higher officials or all the process to be done, then this person will escape. So you can take the cognizance of the person, and the normal court will grant bail if everything is fulfilled. So even if you doubt a person that it might be happen, you can take cognizance. Then anyhow, for remand, you will be going to the magistrate. At that point of time, you can move the bail petition also. So without any authority on you, just you have the authority bestowed on you to take a person for interrogation, take a person under police care, but any person who has taken into your custody or taken for interrogation, 24 hours you should be produced before the nearest magistrate, excluding the travel time. So anyone who has been arrested, anyone taken for interrogation, so don't worry if it is going to be false arrest, you have to be taken before the magistrate within the 24 hours, the jurisdiction magistrate or the nearby magistrate.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the detailed answer. The next question is from Ms. Deepa. Her question is that when someone is married in Arya Samaj Mandir and later, if any one of them married with someone else, will it still be considered as bigamy offense under 494 section?
Yes, ma. These kind of marriages come under the Hindu law. The Hindu code, we call it, no. Hindu doesn't mean any people who are following two religions. Two Hindus following the same religion. A Hindu will include Jains, Sikhs, Lingayat, all these people, and anyone who is not a Parsi, who is not a Muslim, who is not a Christian will follow Hindu religion. So that is how the Hindu code or the Hindu Marriage Act 1954 has been formed. So Arya Samaj marriage will automatically come into, it is not a Jew, it is not a Christian, it is not a Muslim. So this is the exception. So they will automatically come under this Hindu Marriage Act. And when Hindu Marriage Act, only one marriage, monogamy is prohibited, is being followed. When you are prohibited to remarriage unless you get a divorce. So this will attract bigamy.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Mr. Thomas. Can you please explain on the provisions for transgender or homosexual related crimes?
You're talking about the unnatural offense which have been dealt with unconstitutional. It will not. Now, what this 377 speaks now is that it is taken away from the books and partially. That is, two men or two women having a unnatural. What is natural? Sex is union of two human beings, and natural sex is union of a men and women. A penal vaginal sex too, that will be only natural. According to me, even according to law itself, even a men and women having a oral or anal sex will be construed as a unnatural only. So men and a gay personalities having their own sexual life inside their home without disturbing anyone, it's no more criminalized. It is not an offense. A woman and a woman, but still bestiality is an offense. Having a relationship with an animal is not taken. So unnatural offense in portion only has been made unconstitutional. So what people say is, previously people thought men and women or bisexuals or these kind of people are people who are criminals because they are not living normal life. Then people have started understanding a transgender personality or a gay personality or a lesbian or the LGBT are also human beings. They have a mind, they have emotions. Only thing, their body speaks a different language from ours. We speak a different language. We were called a men, a women, a women. I am a woman. But I feel like a man. Well, what can I do? I'm a transgender, but how will I approach it? Now the law, transgender has a special law now. January 10th, this year, 2020, Transgenders Protection Act 2019 has come into force January 10, 2020. Here, if you, there are certain provisions to protect the transgender, but transgender marriages and all are not taking its a place now. But they have a law for them. It's a small law, but said and then for at least something is there. Previously, they had a judgment to protect them, was NALSA judgment to call a transgender self-identified transgender. So here, a relationship between a gay, which is not in a public place, which is not disturbing the public, not a public nuisance, it is inside the four walls, and it is not disturbing any third person, it is not an offense. It need not be criminalized. They have a right to have their own sexual life or sexual partner. But in the same way, if one male is wanting to have a sexual relationship with another male who is not willing partner, recently 4 days back, I got a case where unwilling partner is forcing on him. Whether will it be an offense, then it will be an offense. Willing partner is no issue. Now, like a woman, if you pounce on a woman for a rape, it's unwilling. If she is consenting, if a person is willing to sell her body, then that is a different question. Unwilling, that becomes a rape. Like unwilling, you can't pounce on a man, cannot pounce on a man. So that has to be linked. Two willing partners having a relationship irrespective of sex or gender, it is no more an offense.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Ms. Irene Priscilla. She wants you to talk about the stigma that surrounds victims when they want to report any crime that is committed against them.
Yes. This is a situation we have to empathize with the victims. But we are in a society where rumor mongering or thinking and talking about others in a low esteem or platform, it happens quite often. As people working for the cause of the women and children, we should look into seriously. Women are scared to come out because people will think. Because what did we speak for Nirbhaya? What did the accused say? One of the accused told, I have a moral policing right to do this. This is not wrong according to me. Who is it to do it? Who is to talk ill of a person? So if a rape victim comes, first question, why did Nirbhaya wear jeans? Why did she go with a boyfriend? Why should she watch movie in the night? Why should she get into the bus? So the victimization of the victim herself. And someone who is going as a witness, they will also be victimized. And many of the activists, we ourselves face these troubles. So we file a lot of public interest litigation. For Pollachi, I was one of the petitioner, and Ajita was the speaker of one of the session. She was also on petitioner. We filed the public interest litigation to seek the CBI inquiry for the Pollachi incident. Like that, we women activists go outside and voice out. And sometimes when we ask some pertinent question, when we support someone, when Kushbu was telling something, when the world was against her, when Jyotika recently told something, when we support in a very decent manner, we are also taken to task. It's not that we are going to support high-profile people only. We support people, or we support women who has told one sentence in one connotation and it is being misunderstood. And we voice out. When I go to the comments on my Facebook and see, there'll be 100 comments on me. Sometimes I'll think, am I the victim? So many comments on me. It's as, but nowadays I don't see the fact. I think Okay, I've grown up. So that's why there are a lot of comments. Negative comments means I've reached in my profession. That's what I leave it. But every woman will not be able to leave it. If you have the guts to go and say, first thing, hey, women has to get the support from the family. Her own family, her own kith and other, her parental or matrimonial have to support a women. Acid attack, rape victims, or even eve teasing, molestation. First, they have to have the support. The neighborhood has to support. The police, the prosecutors, the legal services, women's commission, everybody has to support. Because you keep questioning. You have to empathize. You should not sympathize. Just leave. I don't want sympathy. Empathize with the situation. Go along with the women. Support her. Don't talk ill of a woman. Don't talk about the character. Even the law says not to ask previous question, not to in a evidentiary value previous question of the character of the witness. Were you doing prostitution is no more a question. Even she was a prostitute. If somebody rapes her, she gives us complaint that I have been raped. This is the evidence I have placed before it. Then it has to be construed as rape. We cannot come place that she had an illegal gray life before that. So talking about a character of somebody, we do not have right. Are we all perfect 10 in this world, including Adhilakshmi? No, no one is perfect 10. No one has a right to question anyone or anything. We have only the right, our freedom. Every individual's freedom is curtailed till the next person's freedom starts. I have to stop my mouth when the other person starts. His freedom starts. So commenting or questioning anyone, nobody has a right.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Ms. Shubdharana. She asked, what are the strong mechanisms that can be taken, in your opinion, to strengthen the law enforcing bodies and personnel, as well as making citizens more aware and responsible?
Can I have the question again? It was too fast. I couldn't follow it. Yes.
Ms. Shubdharana asked you to comment on the strong mechanisms that can be followed to strengthen the law enforcing bodies and making the citizens more aware and responsible.
Excuse me. First of all, the present laws are really good. The present legislations, there's so many legislations, women-related legislation and children legislation. Only thing, the awareness is very less. I again congratulate the Madras School of Social Work, right from the principal, HOD, faculty, and the students. In this COVID period, you have taken up a cause. First, when the students called me, they wanted to raise a fund for the COVID workers, that was sanitary workers who were working for the cause of the public. And that was a very good cause. For that, they are giving something in return. They are giving a course, a 6-day course with a e-certificate and bringing in people. And it was a noble cause. You are parting knowledge. And that too, it is not only for the 40 students of your department. And you are taking it to the general public. And it's going on the YouTube so that so many people are able to watch it. So this is a noble cause. Like this, the awareness of the laws has to be taken to each one of the public. The law is good. But when will the law will really act good? If there is a rape victim, she has to come to the police station immediately without taking a bath. Who will teach this? We, the people, stakeholders, have to teach. You take that bath and all the material evidence is gone. A rape victim has to immediately, when a case comes to me over the phone, I immediately ask the victim, not even to the police officers, I immediately shift the victims to the hospitals so that the evidentiary value is not at all lost. The one hair on the body, the semen on the dress, or the nail bites of the teeth, nail bites, all these things are medical evidence, and the forensic department has to come into the picture at the place, then into the police officer. So the public has to be taught. Now the law at present is very, very good, and the prosecutors and the people working for you, because there are special POCSO lawyers, special courts. You have Mahila courts, you have POCSO courts only dealing with women cases, only dealing with children cases, and where all cases are conducted in camera proceedings. No public will be allowed inside, no media person will be allowed inside, only in camera proceedings. In all the inbuilt legislation, Legal Services Authority have kept separate set of panel lawyers list where you can ask for them. They're the stakeholders of special educators, translators, service providers, protection officers, and so many people have come into the picture. Law is very, very good. Only thing, we should have the awareness. The system is working comfortably well, and we should go to the right person. Okay, there is National Commission for Women, State Legal Services working, State Commission for Women is working, There is Mahila police stations working. There are so many NGOs working, and institutions like you are working in, and many of your students come to the family courts and Mahila courts with me. Few of your students have been my interns, and you have been, and Kritika have been coordinating with me for creation of the questions and all the slides. And my own student, who's my junior, she has been coordinating. She only prepared the slide. To be very frank, I also saw the slide first. I also didn't see. My junior sitting in Kanyakumari, along with Kritika, they did the work. So the student community, I have a great faith in the future, because the present generation students are the leaders of the tomorrow, and they are doing wondrous job. And I have great confidence in the student community. I think the future is intact only. There'll be less and less of crimes happening. Only thing, awareness up to, and you should have the confidence. Every woman should have the confidence that we can. Just because somebody is shouting at me, somebody is calling ill of me, I don't leave my job. Let 100 people call bad about me. I'm not bothered. Whatever is good to me is good to my conscience. So let me carry forward with my work. Each and every woman comes to give a complaint should go any of these people to get the support system, because every case you see, an NGO has filed a case, or a victim who runs the NGO has filed a case. So one person will not be able to fight sometimes. Join as a team and fight. We will get justice. So women have to be supported. That way, a victim woman has to be supported.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Due to time constraint, we have come to the last question for the session. This question is from Miss Jyoti. She asked that by 354, people say people stalking and take how to, go and complain when a woman is stalked through camera, which is installed for security purposes.
Okay, good. One thing, she is touching about something related to cyber area. Stalking under Indian Penal Code is the stalking where literally someone is following us. She's something, a camera, you're being spied in a camera. Camera placed in your office space to look into the working, those cameras cannot be called into a spy camera. But cameras where in a lavatory or a restroom where women goes in, or a place where women are supposed to be having a private space, there the camera should not be placed. And the cyber crimes, they have a separate wing for cyber crimes. It is being seriously dealt with. So women, I tell you, for all the women who are watching it, irrespective of whoever you are, if you have any complaints to be made, everybody knows the police station is the place where you go. You go to the jurisdiction police station or the nearby police station, because now zero FIR is being taken. Even if you gave a complaint to a wrong jurisdiction police station, they will place it before the jurisdiction police station. Again, you have National Commission and State Commission for Women. You can go to the National Commission of Women and ask for, because it's a quasi-judicial body, this Commission for Women, where your case will be dealt with, taken into a child born, a girl child born till the grave, from a womb to a tomb. Any women till the grave, you can take your matters to the Women's Commission. Against protection officers under the Social Welfare Board, working under the District Collector's Office of each district, look into the domestic violence related issues. So you can go before the protection officer, and all legal services authorities, whether taluk, district, state, or national legal services, work for the cause of women. They have pre-litigation counseling. Even before filing, you can take your matters, and after that, you can have a cases for your future. You have to file any cases. They keep lawyers free of cost. Article 39A of the Indian Constitution provides for legal services to provide for people who are in need of it, who are not having enough income to fend the cases. So a women want to fight a case can go for legal services authority. And we have so many NGOs or genuine NGOs working for the cause of women, and so many places where you have to go. It's not only the police station you have to go. So you can very well approach any women lawyer or women activists like us. We will help out to go to these places. We will show you which way to go about it. Because of paucity of time, the organizers have curtailed the questions. I asked Kritika to give my phone number in the forum where they are all connected, and mail ID or phone numbers to be connected, and she can share my slides with them so that they can go through it. And even if you have any doubt, you can ask about regarding the punishments or anything. Because of paucity of time, because each and every session should have gone in a very big manner, I just gave an idea. Now I have just made a bird's eye view of all the provisions of the crimes. Again, it's an introduction. So many crimes there in the Indian Penal Code. These can be deliberated in extensive manner. Anybody is interested, take my phone number. You can come on my line, give us SMS or a WhatsApp telling who are you, what do you want. I will come on you. I'll give the reply. Now, what is the free time for you to talk with me? Anyone who's attending is most welcome with your queries. Unfortunately, we are paucity of crime. We are winding up. I thank the organizers for, first of all, to bringing our organization, the Management Labor Academy, as the Honorary Secretary of Management Labor Academy. It's a proud privilege on us to join with you and coordinate this event. Thank you so much for inviting me as a speaker, the first speaker. And in fact, I should tell this session was to be inaugurated by a sitting judge. Since the court was starting today, he couldn't come in person. He'll be joining us later. He sent his wishes, and a few more judges who sent their wishes for such an event. And I thank the principal, the HOD, and Madam Queen, who is the chief coordinator, Kritika Sudarshan, and all the students. And above all, each and every one of the participants and few of my close friends also joined in. Thank you, my dear friends, for joining for the sessions. You can give your comments, you can give your queries to me. Most welcome. Thank you, Kritika, for being the host. Thank you so much. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I request Professor Rachel to propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, one and all. I deem it a great pleasure to thank the resource person of the day, Mrs. Adhilakshmi Logamurthy, Advocate High Court, Madras. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us the broader understanding, that is the bird's eye view of the various crimes against women relating to IPC. Thank you, ma'am, for making us to understand the trauma experienced by our own fellow beings through various legislation such as the Miscarriage Act, criminalizations involved in miscarriage offenses, the causes of the offenses committed against women, such as the acid attacks, the sufferings, the victims, whatever the problems they are facing due to sexual harassments, voyeurism, trafficking, gang rape, and also related to marriage. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us also the various organizations who are involved working for the cause of these women. Ma'am, my sincere thanks for reiterating that for a change to occur, we need men and women to work together. With all the participants' energetic participation, we assure you that we will move together from words to deeds to safeguard and empower our women. Thank you, ma'am, once again. I thank the respected principal, Dr. Raja Samuel, for his tireless support. I thank Dr. Francis, head of the department, for all his guidance. My special mention of thanks to Ms. Damon Quinn for coordinating such an action-provoking course for the benefit of women. My thanks goes to Kritika Sudarshan for coordinating this event in a great, successful manner. I thank all the participants for joining us. Stay tuned for the upcoming sessions too for more deliberations and introspections in specific legislations for women. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. The evaluation form has been circulated in the chat box. I request all the participants to fill the evaluation form without fail. This will be considered for the certificate. We have projected the phone numbers and email ID of our resource person. So anybody who is interested to take this forward and get her insights on any legal awareness can reach her through these details. Thank you.
The feedback form and the evaluation for today's session is out in the chat box, and also for the YouTube viewers, we have posted it. Please fill in those details and send it to us before 1:30 for evaluations to be end. And tomorrow, join us on the session. Tomorrow will be a special session on crime and cybercrime against women. So we have Advocate Karthikeyan sir from Cyber Intelligence Academy joining with us tomorrow. So the username and the password will be the same for all 6 days. If you have any queries related to anything or some questions, or you wanted to ask some points for deliberation, please note down our contact details, which is in the brochure. And I'm sure most of you are part of the WhatsApp group. You can also post questions there so that you can stay connected with us. Thank you all. for responding